In this video, I will show you how to perform a variety of transformations on a particular point. And we will also just in general describe the transformations that we're seeing represented in this function. So looking at problem number 19, let's think about the transformations that are happening compared with the parent function f of x. So some transformations will apply to y values. Those will be the ones that are outside of the function. And then other transformations will apply to the x value. Those will be the ones that are inside the function. Okay, so let us be careful. Okay, the transformation that applies to the x value inside the function, that's going to be always something horizontal. So I know that I'm looking at a horizontal something. All right, now is this going to be a horizontal stretch or a horizontal compression? Everything in here is going to be the opposite of what it looks like. So you would think it would be a stretch because it's bigger than 1. But it will actually be a compression, or we can just call it a shrink because that's a shorter word. Okay, this is a horizontal shrink, and by what factor? Okay, by a factor of, and here's where we do the reciprocal. The way it is a shrink is because the reciprocal of 2 is 1/2. So it's going to be shrinking by a factor of 2. Now, for that reason, when we have to transform any x value, we're going to wind up doing 1/2 times the x value. Maybe I should put that over here. Okay, we're going to wind up doing 1/2 times the x value. I'll just put that over here. I might need the space for work. Now, moving on to the vertical stuff. So this -3 is going to be a vertical shift, which is going to be down 3. All right, the y stuff, the vertical transformations, happen just like you would think. Negative is down. So because of that, we're going to take the y values and we're going to subtract 3. So now let's perform this transformation on the point 4, 6. So I'm just going to put this right here to remind us that we're transforming the point 4, 6 over and over and over again. But we have to do 1/2 of x, so that's going to be 1/2 times 4. And then we're going to do 6 minus 3, because that's y minus 3. So that will give us the answer. So 1/2 of 4 is 2, and 6 minus 3 is 3. So this would be the transformed point. All right, let's do that again. Okay, again, let's talk about the transformations that will affect the y value, because those are the ones that are outside the function, compared with the transformations that will affect the x value. Those will be inside the function. So, starting with the x value here, this is going to be a horizontal shift. It will either be left or right. Can you guess which one it is? It's the opposite of what it looks like. So this will actually be a shift to the left 2. All right, because of that, we're going to take any x value and we're going to subtract 2 because it's really left 2. Now, let's talk about what's happening in the front here. This is actually 2 separate transformations. The negative sign, all by itself, is a vertical reflection, or some people call it a reflection over the x-axis. whoops. Reflection over the x-axis. But you could call it a vertical reflection if you want to. Then now ignore the negative sign for a minute. Just look at the 2. This is going to be a vertical something. All right, it's going to be a vertical. Will it be a stretch or a shrink? A stretch or a compression? Well, it's because it is bigger than 1. Again, we're ignoring the negative sign because that's already a reflection. We've already covered the negative sign. Because the 2 part is bigger than 1, that is going to be a vertical stretch by a factor of, I'm just trying to squeeze it in here, if I may. Okay, a vertical stretch by a factor of 2. So that's what, if you put all that together, this -2, we're just going to be multiplying each y value by -2. All right, that's the combination of the reflection and the vertical stretch by a factor of 2. Okay, so applying these transformations to the point 4, 6, I have to do x minus 2, so that'll be 4 minus 2. I have to do -2 times y, so that'll be -2 times 6. Well, that is going to give me 2, -12. So that would be the point that you would get after the transformation of the point 4, 6. Okay, moving on. Well, this is what is going on inside the function. Remember, this is going to be something horizontal happening. This is going to be a horizontal transformation. So I'm going to go ahead and write horizontal. Okay, everything inside the function is horizontal. Now, this is actually 2 separate things. The negative sign is going to be a horizontal reflection. Okay, now horizontal reflection is also known as a reflection over the y-axis. You can write it either way. All right, now ignore the negative sign and just focus on the 1/2. This is also going to be something horizontal. Will it be a stretch or shrink? Well, guess what? It's going to be the opposite of what it looks like. And again, we're ignoring the negative sign. So you would think that something less than 1 would give you a shrink. But everything in here is the opposite of the way it looks. So it will actually be a stretch. Okay, horizontal stretch by a factor, and the reciprocal is 2, so it's going to be by a factor of 2. Horizontal stretch by a factor of 2. So because of that, we're going to take any x value and multiply it by -2. So we're going to take -2 times any x value. And again, that's the combination of both of these transformations. The 2 because it's a horizontal stretch, and the negative because it's a reflection over the y-axis. Put them together and you have -2x. Okay, now let's talk about the vertical stuff. All right, what's happening to the y values? Well, this is going to be pretty straightforward. +4 is going to be a vertical shift, so it's just going to be up 4. So that means we will take any y value and we will simply add 4 to it. So applying this transformation to the point 4 comma 6 will give us, we have to do negative 2 times 4 and then 6 plus 4. So that will give us negative 8 comma 10. So that would be the point that you would get after the transformation is done. All right, last one. Okay. Here's the transformation that will affect the x values. This is a horizontal transformation. Okay, now this is a translation, is a shift. And everything in blue, everything inside the function, happens the opposite of the way you would think. So minus 3 is actually going to be to the right by 3, to the right 3. Because of that, we're going to take any x value and we're going to add 3 to it. Okay, that's how it will move to the right 3. Now, I see two transformations happening outside the function. There's this one and this one. Those transformations are happening vertically. They're going to affect the y values. And these ones are normal. They would happen just as you would think. So a 1/2 is going to be a vertical shrink. Okay, by a factor of 1/2. All right, so a vertical shrink by a factor of 1/2, that means we're going to have 1/2 times every y value. But then in addition, we have this plus 1 on the end. That's just going to be a shift up 1, just like it looks. The yellow stuff happens just like you would think. So because of the up 1, that's going to be a plus 1 happening. So let's apply these transformations to the point 4 comma 6. So because it's 4, I'm going to wind up with 4 plus 3. And because y is 6, I'm going to have 1/2 times 6 plus 1. So the 4 plus 3 gives me 7. Half of 6 is 3. Plus 1 is 4. So after the transformation, the point will be 7 comma 4.